You got a full belly. Well, I guess I should realize that you were just eating.
Old Mage Guy is now live, streaming politics. Morning news with OMG.
Hello, everyone. I am making my coffee. Young lady, no. I'm getting very tired of you acting like him. Impatient and pushy. Daddy does not appreciate those traits. Period. I mean it. I don't appreciate that bullshit. Matter of fact, I don't take kindly to someone being pushy. I do not feel well with being pushed around. I have a tendency to retaliate. Okay. You don't have a whole lot so far yet today. And just a heads up, I have not had any of my normal shit. So I'm a bit out of it. I'm working on getting that stuff done now.
Up, they stood up to the Trump regime, and right now Canada knows that they successfully pushed back against Donald Trump. They see how weak and pathetic the Trump regime is right now, and Canadian leaders are just saying how stupid the Trump regime's policies are that are crashing the United States economy, frankly, while the economy in Canada and in Europe is resilient. Why? Because we told you they were prepared for this moment. They are united. The United States Trump regime was saying, oh, the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing. And then Donald Trump revoked the tariffs. He puts the tariffs on, revokes the tariffs, put it back on, revoked them again, claims he's going to put them back on April 2nd. But Canada's like, you realize how pathetic you look right now? Look, consumer confidence in Canada is actually soaring right now because Canadians were ready for this moment, unlike here in the United States, where consumer confidence is absolutely plummeting. Here in the United States, the Atlanta Federal Reserve is predicting a negative 2.8% GDP contraction, whereas they previously expected. And former President Biden's economy was just put into autopilot. GDP growth of about 3 to 4%. In the United States, we're talking about stagflation right now. Stagflation means contraction in the GDP. High inflation. It's like the
fucking
worst case
torture at the
scenario.
box.
Economists here are talking about recession, Great Recession, and even depression.
That's
based
still a
on
torch.
Donald Trump's stupid policies. You take a look right here at Canadian grocery
Didn't think I was
stores. They
buying
all
crack
look
torches.
like this. American liquor still removed from the shelves. Canadians are sick and tired of this stupid cycle of Donald Trump. Here it is right here. I make a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. I convince my followers the problem is now magically solved. I reverse my stupid decision. Or how about this chart right here? Donald Trump, I'm adding tariffs. Trump supporters, that will create jobs. Trump, I'm removing tariffs. Trump supporters, part of the deal. Donald Trump, I'm adding tariffs. Trump supporters, this will create jobs. Donald Trump, I'm removing tariffs. Trump supporters, part of the deal. I think you get the point right here. Let's take a look at what Chrystia Freeland has to say. She's the former Canadian Minister of Finance. She's running for leadership in the Liberal Party race. It's really her against Mark Carney. Right now, the Liberal Party, by the way, is soaring in the latest polling, up 4 to 5%.
You shouldn't try to flop in my lap.
Because the Conservative Party,
There's a
led by
hole there.
Pierre Poilievre, really went Maple MAGA. And then Donald Trump went and took over Canada. So being Maple MAGA, not the greatest place to be under Pierre Poilievre, who was really getting pushed by the Elon Musk algorithms. He did the Jordan Peterson podcast and talked about, all of the things that Elon Musk and Doge were doing in America that Poilievre said he wanted to do in Canada. Not the most popular place to be. And the polling in Canada is reflecting this unprecedented liberal surge. I mean, I don't think they've seen this level of popularity since, 2000 or so. But let's take a look at what Chrystia Freeland says here on CNN, where she looks at the camera. She's going on American media, right? And she is saying to Donald Trump in America, do you realize how stupid the Trump regime is? They're killing your stock market. And here in Canada and Europe and elsewhere, we know what we're doing. Actually, the European stock market is up right now. The dollar is actually getting crushed vis-a-vis the euro right now. I mean, America is in a trash can right now because of the Trump regime. Here, play this clip of Chrystia Freeland, who's running for leadership in the Liberal Party.
Is right, the Wall Street Journal is right. These are the dumbest tariffs in history. This is utterly self-mutilating. It's really a perverse approach, Anderson, because America is hurting itself. Moving in this direction, the president is killing the U.S. stock market. Your stock market is actually performing worse than the stock market in Europe or in Canada. You're going to raise the prices on gas. You're going to raise the prices on groceries. You're going to make electricity more expensive. And all for what reason? Because Canadians aren't nice enough? I mean, come on. This is just utterly absurd. America is hurting itself. And the end result has been to do something which is really hard to do. antagonize Canadians. There is this wave of patriotism in Canada right now, the likes of which I have never seen in my life. We started off being really hurt by this because we know that we are really good friends to you, really good neighbors. We know that so much of America's prosperity has been built on the foundation of having Canada, the best neighbor in the world, to your north. But now I would say Canadians are getting really angry.
Now I want to share this with you as well. This is Mark Carney, also running for leadership. Many believe that Carney is the front runner, but I think it's still anybody's game for the race of leadership in the Liberal Party. Here's what Carney has to say. Let's play it.
Our economy is very strong. Look, this is a serious situation, and it will cause pain to our workers, pain to our companies, pain to our economy for a period of time. My government, if I am Prime Minister, will do everything we can to alleviate that. But we're strong. We are strong, and I would say as well, our economy is stronger than the American in the medium term. And we are going to be stronger than the American economy, particularly if the U.S. government continues to pursue these types of policies. Because we are looking to expand our trading relationships. We do have opportunities to build this economy. We do have a better balance sheet than the United States. We do have a people who are united and determined to move forward.
And as I mentioned, the polling, the Conservative Party is on a downswing. The Liberal Party is surging. People expected the Conservative Party to have been able to form a government several months ago. The whole dynamic has changed because of Donald Trump there with the Liberal Party surging ahead. Also, as I told you, consumer confidence is up because Canadians are standing united. Unlike here in the United States where consumer confidence is plummeting essentially to all-time lows. And we're hearing from other Canadian leaders, authors, celebrities, you name business leaders, all talking about the unified boycott that is still going on. You saw the report that I did where Jack Daniels is saying even beyond retaliatory tariffs, the fact that Canadian provinces have taken all of the booze, American booze, off their supermarket shelves, grocery store shelves, that has actually been even more harmful to these liquor suppliers, Kentucky Bourbon, for example, Jack Daniels and others, and even the retaliatory tariffs. Now, wait until we start getting the data about the tourism boycott. We all know how powerful that boycott is. It hasn't showed up yet in the financial data just because it'll probably pick up in the March and April data. But Canadians ain't traveling to the United States. They're canceling their vacations. They're canceling their rentals. And those in the United States who rent out to Canadians or who run travel agencies here or are involved in the tourism, Canadians are canceling everything. I predict that it will be about 50 to 75% of Canadians who will be participating in the tourism boycott, unless they absolutely have to come here. I think they're just like, why would I come to this place where idiocracy prevails? And look, talking about idiocracy, and it's just stuff like this. You have Pete Hegseth banning photographs, our Secretary of Defense, if it has the word gay in it and not realizing the Enola Gay, the World War II bomber, has the word gay in it, and that they're banning photos of the Enola Gay. I mean, just the stupidest stuff happening here as well. I mean, talk about the Gong Show here in the United States. You have the Army Corps of Engineers being sent by Donald Trump to drain reservoirs in California into farmland, frankly run by right-leaning Republican farmers in land that's nowhere close to Los Angeles and Southern California, because Donald Trump believed that you could turn on some faucet that's somehow connected to Canada.
Interesting,
water would flow
because
stop the fires, which had already stopped.
The most watched newscast in Canada is actually the Midas Touch Network.
Los Angeles. So Donald Trump dumped reservoirs that were needed for summer for these farmers into random farmland in like central and northern California. I mean, it is the height of stupidity right now. I showed you this, by the way. This is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau from earlier in this week saying, we are not backing down. Play this clip.
Obviously, conversations ongoing right now with the U.S. administration. But as I've said a number of times, we will not be backing down from our response tariffs until such a time as the unjustified American tariffs on Canadian goods are lifted.
Here's Prime Minister Trudeau again giving a great response to Trump changing his mind on tariffs at the end of last week. Let's play it.
Foreign Affairs Minister yesterday called all of this a psychodrama. How do you characterize it?
Thursday.
CDKeys.com. Shop the latest games and upcoming releases at the best prices. Enjoy incredible savings with up to 35% off new releases. Don't miss out. CDKeys.com. Pay less, game more.
Drop it. Sinks straight up. Bubble. Coming.
Here's my buddy, by the way. You all know him by now. Canadian Member of Parliament, Charlie Angus. Here was an incredible speech. I'll give you a short portion of it that he gave in Ottawa about how Canadians have stayed united, how they've stood up, how they were prepared, and now the American economy is tanking because of the stupidity of the Trump regime.
Once again, he's huffing and puffing and threatening to blow our nation away. And like last time, as soon as Canada stands up and shows that we are not afraid, suddenly the MAGA crew start backpedaling, and maybe there's going to be a deal in the works. Maybe they're going to have something figured out. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not here to give anyone false hope, because Canadians understand that this is not a trade war we're talking about. This is a war by other means. A war of disinformation and ridicule, questioning our right to exist, our sovereignty, our borders, very much the way Vladimir Putin wanted.
That needs to come back over a little bit louder.
Thursday.
Here's my buddy, by the way. You all know him by now. Canadian Member of Parliament, Charlie Angus. Here was an incredible speech. Just to give you a short portion of it that he gave in Ottawa about how Canadians have stayed united, how they've stood up, how they were prepared, and now the American economy is tanking because of the stupidity of the Trump regime.
Once again, he's huffing and puffing and threatening to blow our nation away. And like last time, as soon as Canada stands up and shows that we are not afraid, suddenly the MAGA crew start backpedaling, and maybe there's going to be a deal in the works. Maybe they're going to have something figured out. Maybe not. I'm not here to give anyone false hope, because Canadians understand that this is not a trade war we're talking about. This is a war by other means. A war of disinformation and ridicule, questioning our right to exist, our sovereignty, our borders, very much the way Vladimir Putin launched his disinformation war in the years leading up to the brutal invasion of Ukraine. It's a siege war. He's poking us and trying to see if there's divisions, if there's fear. What he's learning very quickly, and what the world is learning, is that Canadians know what is at stake, and we will not bend or break. Because Donald Trump believes we have no right as a nation, and we will always be there for our nation. But I want to compare what's happening in Canada to the dumpster fire USA. Because what we've seen in just 60 days is that Donald Trump has burned up the great American century.
Yeah.
He's burned through his alliances with key allies. He's burned through Americans' leadership role on the international stage with his disgusting attack on President Zelensky and his willingness to put America on side with North Korea and Russia. So this is how the great American century ends. It's not with a bang or with a whimper. It's like some kind of tacky roadshow for the World Wrestling Federation. And now Donald Trump has decided to go further by blowing apart the greatest economic trade relationship in history.
No joke.
Plunging our nation and our people into chaos. But what he's really doing is making America weaker, more divided, more alone. And we know that Canada will stand up and Canada will push back. And American jobs will suffer and the American economy is suffering.
Look, I'll admit it, every time I glance in the mirror these days, I see more and more gray sneaking on in, and I get it, aging is natural, wisdom, life experience, blah, 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 but sometimes I don't need that. But here's the problem. Home hair dye kits, absolute mess. Salons, way too expensive, way too much time, and don't even get me started on those drugstore dyes that burn your skin like you just offended the hair dye gods or something. There had to be a better way, right? Well, there is. This podcast is sponsored by Simpler Hair Color, the easiest way to eliminate grays, period. No mixing, no weird science experiments in your bathroom, and no harsh chemicals that make your scalp feel like it's been set on fire. Simpler Hair Color is made for guys who just want an easy, effective way to cover grays. I used Simpler Hair Color just last week before a party. And let me tell you, zero drips, zero mess, and in just a few minutes, I look like I've taken 5 years off my face. I went with the dark brown and blended so naturally with my hair, no one could tell I used anything except, of course, for the compliments. Here's what makes Simpler Hair Color stand out. You get one product for both your hair and your beard. No need to buy separate dyes. A single can equals the same amount of dye as 4 boxes of the store kits. That's a game changer. No irritation, no harsh chemicals. This stuff is actually gentle on your skin. It's made in the USA with over 9,500 5-star reviews, so this isn't some random fly-by-night product. It's trusted, proven, and actually works. And it makes sense because Simpler Hair Color was started by two guys, Snehal Patel and Mitch Brown, who were just like us. They were sick of dealing with messy, outdated dyeing methods, so they
just
made
lost
better, easier, and way less of a hassle.
You don't want to listen.
So why trust the Simpler Hair Color over salon treatments or drugstore dyes? Because it actually works without all the nonsense, plus free shipping and free returns means you can try it 100% risk-free. Now, here's the deal. Say goodbye to grays.
I'm not kidding. I'm tired of you fucking with the garbage can, girl.
simplerhaircolor.com/Midas and use code Midas for 10% off your order. Once again, that's simplerhaircolor.com/Midas, MIDAS, for 10% off. And don't forget to use promo code Midas so they know that I sent you.
Folks, we're seeing headlines throughout like this one. Trump's policies have shaken a once solid economic outlook. The bank stocks here are down 7 to 12%. The Wall Street Journal headlines are how tariff wars are risking sinking the United States into Great Depression. Donald Trump is also killing a $52.7 billion semiconductor CHIPS Act, destroying red states and blue states alike. And what does the Trump administration just have to say about this, about Canada? Just pathetic. What, name-calling? Here you have Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, calling Trudeau a numbskull. Play this clip.
As President Trump has said many times, tariff is his favorite word. I would say the reciprocal is probably his second favorite word. And I think we have to be open to the idea that if you want to be a numbskull like Justin Trudeau and say, oh, we're going to do this, then tariffs are going to go up. But if you want to sit back, have it.
When you don't know that you're the numbskull, that's this guy. Quite literally.
Discussion with the Commerce Department, USTR, they all have my phone number too. I am happy to have a discussion with our foreign counterparts.
Well, guess what, Scott Bessent? Trudeau just ate your lunch. The Canadians just went elbows up, and they made you look like a fool, pathetic, and weak. And now you have Scott Bessent over here saying, you know what? Things may be bad in the United States, but guess what? We're just detoxing. The economy is detoxing here. Here, play this clip.
We're trying to get rates down, and could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending.
Oh,
and there's going to be a detox period.
You fucking idiots.
There's going to be a detox
Yeah,
period.
this guy looks and sounds so freaking arrogant. Oh, we're just detoxing. Just detoxing. Shut up. You were handed a Goldilocks economy, and you threw that Goldilocks economy into the ground. And then you have shows like this, Maria Bartiromo on Fox saying, it's a recession, the recession's coming, but it's Biden's recession. Play this clip.
That's, by the way, that's why I said earlier it would be Biden's recession. And I know the haters out there will slam me later. The other day I said something.
It's not haters, dumbass. It's the fact you're a fucking idiot.
All that's so utterly pathetic. Great work, Canada, standing up to the pathetic Trump regime. You've also showed the world what you can do when you stand up. You have showed how weak and pathetic Donald Trump is. What he does as a cornered little rat. No offense to cornered rats. Great work, and to all of our Canadian supporters out there. We know there are millions of you. This is the most watched podcast in Canada. We stand with you against the Trump regime, and we look forward to the day when we will be allies again, when we will be best neighbors and best friends again. This is a passing period. We stand up to that cornered rat. No offense to cornered rats, this Trump fascist regime. We stand up to bullies, and until they rip this microphone from my very hands, there will be fearless reporting here at the Midas Touch Network and highlighting your great work. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.midastouch.com. All 100% USA Union made.
That's coffee.
A chewy order is on the way for Radar.
For Radar, who can hear everything?
So by now you probably know that the state of Ohio went from a purple state a little bit over a decade ago to becoming a red state, although it's got some blue dots in there, but maybe it should have gone back to purple or blue because this whole red state thing doesn't really seem to be helping it all that much. Take a look at some of these recent headlines from various places in Ohio. I mean, this one from Fox 8 Cleveland, for example, although it's Blue City. Veterans Affairs to cut 70,000 jobs. Local veterans are deeply concerned. How about this headline? The CHIPS Act brought Intel to Ohio. Trump wants the CHIPS Act gone. He announced no more CHIPS Act, MAGA Mike Johnson, at the joint session address. Will Ohio's congressional representatives defend it? I don't know. I saw them all giving a standing ovation when Donald Trump said to get rid of the jobs.
Yeah. Anyone who's hoping Ohio... Yeah, we're talking Ohio? Never mind. Never mind a comment. Ohio, not Idaho. The state next to Oregon's got some issues, too.
In Ohio and elsewhere. Here's this one as well from Akron. These 3 Northeast Ohio federal buildings could be sold by the Trump administration. How about this one from Axios? Ohio farmers face uncertainty amid Trump tariffs. The nation's breadbasket is feeling the pressure as new tariffs on our country's largest trade partners trigger, guess what? Retaliation, leaving farmers worried about their livelihoods. It goes on to talk about how Midwest states like Ohio heavily rely on agriculture, especially soy, corn, pork, dairy, and wheat, and escalated trade tensions could cause serious economic consequences for farmers and rural communities. And it probably doesn't help as well that Donald Trump puts tariffs on, then takes them off, then puts them on again, then takes them off again. It is total Trump chaos, not good for business. Let's call him the Cleveland mayor, Mayor Justin Bibb. Mayor Bibb, this chaos is not good for business. What are you seeing in your city, sir?
Well, if this is what making America great again looks like, Clevelanders aren't buying it, and I'm not buying it as mayor of Cleveland. And it has certainly been a chaos for the nearly 50 days that President Trump has been in the White House. And many Ohioans were optimistic about the president's second term. And Ohio has a lot to lose if we don't find a way to lower the cost of goods and services. We have to make sure the Intel deal happens. The CHIPS Act is going to be a boon for Ohio, and to see Vice President Vance and President Trump say we want to get rid of that, it makes no sense. And so we need to continue to fight for Cleveland, fight for Ohio, and hold this administration and Republican-led Congress accountable to do what they said they were going to do in terms of lowering prices, making the economy work again for working class and middle class Americans, and making sure that cities like Cleveland can be a part of America's comeback.
What are you seeing in Cleveland in terms of Trump gutting federal programs, federal jobs? I know that you've been leading a lot of initiatives to try to help all of these people who have lost jobs to find jobs in other sectors, but how hard has that hit Cleveland from your vantage point?
Yeah, I just talked to an employee at the VA, and he's very concerned. Many of his employees are just sitting in a conference room, waiting whether or not they're going to get fired. And this is not just happening at the VA locally in Cleveland. It's happening at HUD. It's happening at DFAS. It's happening at our local EPA affiliate. And these are good paying jobs in our city. And because of all the uncertainty that we've seen with these cuts led by Elon Musk and Doge, we launched just yesterday a rapid response hub for federal workers living in Cleveland and across Cuyahoga County to make sure they can get job training, resume help, and a pathway to another job if their job goes away. And there's a way to do this. Democrats all across this country, especially Democratic mayors, we believe in good government. We believe in efficiency. And we've been here before. Under President Clinton and Vice President Gore, there was a focused strategy to cut fraud and waste out of the federal government. And they worked with a Republican Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, to not only make the government more efficient, but they balanced the budget. So we know how to do this, but it's important that we bring some common sense back to Washington in terms of how we manage the federal government.
Look, under former President Biden, Cleveland was, Cleveland was back.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland was thriving. I mean, you started to see some of that great storied history and manufacturing and other sectors return with the jobs of the future. It was really one of those, incredible stories. I mean, look, your leadership, and I'm sure you're doing everything you can to Trump-proof it. I still think you'll be there, but now you're facing different types of resistance. In many ways, do you feel like, the city's under attack from this administration, and that your posture is different? I mean, that perspective shift really quickly, because Trump was trying to create certain caricatures of cities like Cleveland as being failing and all of these things. It actually wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's so frustrating now to hear all these uninformed anecdotes that Democratic-led cities are failing. And look, do we have some major challenges in big cities across this country? Absolutely. But in cities like Cleveland, Atlanta, Detroit, Nashville, Tulsa, we're seeing real gains. Right here in Cleveland, just today, we're going to house our 150th resident who have been living on the street in an encampment. Or we're going to essentially have functional zero homelessness in Cleveland because of the work we've done to get government out of the way, to make sure there's nobody in our city living in a tent. We're making big strides, not only in Cleveland, but across the country around violent crime. In Cleveland, we worked with our police union leadership to reduce violent crime by 86% by investing in the police. And that's the same story you're seeing in big cities and medium-sized cities all across this country, led by Democratic mayors. And so under President Biden, we had a president who believed in investing in cities like Cleveland. He was a great partner to us. And I just want to implore President Trump to work with mayors on these issues. Immigration, case in point. And now is the time to not only secure the border, but make sure we work with this Republican-led Congress to pass common sense immigration reform. And mayors, especially Democratic mayors, have been delivering every single day.
That's the thing, right? Former President Biden had a bipartisan border bill that would have actually addressed the issues and the complexities of it and provided cities with the resources they need when it comes to immigration. But just look at Trump's joint session, right? He singles out another city in Ohio, Springfield. He spread lies and says, it's a wreck, it's the worst, the Haitians have destroyed it. And the Springfield mayor came out and said, no, you're wrong. Yeah. You are wrong. And now, though, what you're doing is actually hurting the community because the incredible workers are now fearful of their lives and livelihood. So you're now creating the circumstance that you fear-mongered in the first place and is trying to make it a self-fulfilled prophecy. I know as a mayor, you're probably close with a lot of the other mayors in the state, and there's got to be some mayor solidarity happening here, regardless of Democrat, Republican, or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great group of mayors in Ohio. The mayor of Springfield, Mayor Rue, he had just recently got elected when all that nonsense went down last year during the presidential election. And he's a Republican, a common sense Republican. And thankfully, we banded together as mayors and supported our Republican governor, Governor DeWine, to support Springfield, who was getting attacked with major bomb threats to the mayor and that community. That's not how we lead in Ohio. And that should not be how we lead in this country. And you mentioned the president's speech on Tuesday. He talked for almost 2 hours, the longest address to Congress, I think, in American history, but spent less than 5 minutes talking about the economy. And now, every day, there's a new policy around tariffs. And look, I'm all for making sure we hold our trade partners abroad accountable to ensure we're protecting American workers, protecting American industry. But this is not the way to yield our influence abroad. The economy right now is certainly going to be faced with a recession. You saw the Fed in Atlanta came out with a report earlier this week that's predicting a nearly negative 3% decline in GDP. I have employers in Cleveland who are concerned about hiring and investment, and our economy right now is fragile. And so, again, we can't afford chaos in economic policy. We can't afford chaos in immigration policy, and mayors are seeing this every single day.
Get all your allergy needs on DoorDash. Delivered where and when you need them. With allergies, Spring is an endless to-do list. Get medicine, tissues, more medicine. So do less. Order with DoorDash.
Seeing this every single day.
And so what would your, message be as we conclude this interview to the people of Cleveland, but generally, to people who are living in cities like Cleveland across the country who are nervous right now, who feel betrayed? They were promised lower prices on day one, and now they're being told by the Trump administration, no, short disturbances are good for you. It's like a cleanse. It's like a detox. We all want detox. That's what their pitch that they say. They said that. Scott Bessent, as Treasury Secretary, detox. Mm-hmm. What's your message to the people of Cleveland, and frankly to people throughout the country right now? Yeah. Especially people are looking to you because you're crushing it in Cleveland and you got a national profile now.
Yeah. Well, my message is simple. As the old saying goes, there's no Democratic way to create a job, and no Republican way to fix a pothole. And America's mayors, especially America's Democratic mayors, are delivering every damn day. addressing our issues around violent crime and public safety, to making sure we have an economy that works for the middle class and working class, but also to make sure we uplift the values we hold dear in this country, the values of safety, the values of security, the values of freedom.
Okay, I'm going to be real here. What does he mean there's no democratic ways to make a job? That's completely and utter bullshit. That's been being done multiple times over. Maybe somebody's not using the full term of the word? I don't know. But yeah, that saying is not quite right. There are democratic ways to make a job. It's called C&E filled. Look at your group. Group votes on whomever they think will be best for doing the job. Ta-da! Simple. Democratic.
Freedom and the values of choice. And so continue to fight for those values, support your mayors, and now more than ever, it's important for the Democratic Party to make the case and articulate our turn of the vision for this country, and our mayors have the right ingredients to making that vision a reality.
Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb, his first time on the Midas Touch Network. We hope it's the first of many. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Everybody hit subscribe and let's get to 5 million subscribers this month. Thanks for watching.
Can't get enough Midas? Check out the Midas.
I had 3 of them.
Ali, welcome to Mea Culpa. Look, there's so much to talk about. The hour goes by incredibly fast.
You're okay.
So I'm just going to jump right into it.
Daddy's laughed because he realized we were ballers.
Yesterday, we experienced what one can only describe as a shit show for this joint session of Congress. Now, Trump, during that session, claimed that the new tariffs would protect the soul of our country. What do you think that he meant by that? And you believe tariffs, even if targeted, like what he's doing with Canada, Mexico, and China, can truly serve a moral or a nationalistic purpose in today's global economy?
No. I mean, I think he'd like to think that. I think he used tariffs as a way of exerting control over people. And he likes the word. He said, I love tariffs. You know, like, tariffs are this magical, wonderful thing. And ultimately, of course, Americans are going to be the ones paying the price hikes among many goods. You know, cheap goods and more expensive goods like cars and homes. So that's going to be our problem. And Justin Trudeau said just the other day, he feels sorry for us. I mean, that's just sad. I've never heard an ally of the United States say that before. But he said, this is what your government is doing to you, and we don't want this. We want to get along. We are friends. We're allies. We're neighbors. But Donald Trump has chosen to pick a fight with some of our closest allies, like Canada and Ukraine and Mexico. And, you know, he violated his own agreement, which was the U.S.-Canada-Mexico agreement, promising not to institute tariffs and to have a free trade agreement, and he made that deal. And then he said that some idiot made that deal. Well, he was the idiot that made the deal, and now he's breaking his own agreement. So here we are, and I think that we are ultimately going to be the ones that pay the price for his decision to do this.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. 27 out of 29 top U.S. economists, and these are top U.S. economists. They are not political. They're just economists. And they all turned around and they said that tariffs will have a detrimental effect on the average American, on all Americans. Now again, that 1/10 or that 1%, they don't care if their Dodge Ram is $80,000, $100,000, or $500,000. They can't spend their money in 100 lifetimes. But no matter how many times people have told this to Trump, he doesn't listen, he doesn't acknowledge that tariffs ultimately get passed down. The expense gets passed down to the consumer, that it does not get borne by the country that is being tariffed. Including in the speech last night, Trump went on and he said the tariffs would cause little disturbance to the economy. Now, with the stock market, as a result of the comments that he's making and the actions that he is doing, went into a free fall as a result. So my question to you is, how realistic is this claim? How will these policies impact middle class and lower middle class?
How realistic is that claim? Not at all. Let's be real here. Yeah, tariffs get passed down to us. We pay the price. If you haven't figured that out yet, at this point, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. If you haven't figured out that tariffs are not a good thing, don't know what to tell you. See, the funny thing is, what a lot of people don't realize, the only way tariffs would work the way Trump is trying to say they're going to work is if it was non-American companies bringing product in to sell it. And even then, the consumer sees the price. Sees that tariff tax on the product. And even then, it's just going to fuck shit up. There's a reason why we haven't done tons of tariffs. There's a reason why tariffs are used so sparingly. Because it hurts. Put it quite simply, a tariff is a fucking... We're just going to say a high-pressured air rifle. And it has a decent kick. It has a little blade about this long on the back of the buttstock. But if you don't put that blade to your shoulder, you can't fire it. That blade has to contact your shoulder and create an electrical charge to fire. And y'all are still pulling the trigger. That's a tariff. Basically a fucking air rifle with a blade on the back of it that you have to touch your chest to use. And the kick from it will shove that blade into your chest. That's a tariff. An air rifle with a fucking knife on it that you have to touch to use. It has to be touching you. That's what a tariff is. In a physical representation, that's what a fucking tariff is. You pull the trigger, fire off that tariff, the kickback stabs you. And it does a lot more damage than that fucking BB is going to do to your target. Your target might go, ow! While you're sitting here pulling a buttstock blade out of your freaking shoulder. It's bad design. Straight up.
companies in both the short and the long term.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's not going to impact the 1%. It's not going to impact Donald Trump.
No.
So he doesn't care. He said, oh, you're going to have some temporary inconvenience. Well, it's not for him. It's for everybody else that's going to deal with the temporary inconvenience, which is actually a serious inconvenience.
Yeah.
And it's increased the price of goods. Like, people are living paycheck to paycheck. He's never experienced that. He doesn't care. But ultimately, this is what Trump supporters voted for because they knew he was going to do this. He said he was going to do it, and they could complain about high prices under Joe Biden all they wanted. And then here Donald Trump is raising them even more, and they're making excuses for him. Like, I don't really understand the logic behind that. But like you said, the economy is just crashing.
Don't understand logic. Maybe I can help you out. It's called cult mentality. It is not hyperbole. It is not hyperbole. It is psychologist proven. Psychologists are going, this is not good. Yeah, the head doctors of the country are not happy about the Trumpy thing. And if the head doctors aren't happy, why are you? If the people that understand sanity and all that is quote-unquote normal for you people that's supposed to be normal and like normal quote-quote things, why aren't you listening to it? That don't make sense.
More than we've ever seen. Joe Biden left office with record high economy and record high stock market, and currently the Dow Jones has dropped 650 points, and the S&P 500 is down. I think it's 1.5%. So that's people's 401ks or retirement accounts, investment accounts, and it's all because of Donald Trump. But like I said, he doesn't care.
No, the thing is, 650. That was in one day. Let's not forget the day before was 700 points. The day before that was even more. I mean, we're talking about $5 trillion in the last 10 or 12 days lost in the market. I want people to think about that number for a second. $5 trillion. When Biden left, as you said, we were at an all-time high. In fact, it remained in that same area, up or down, during the last, say, 45 days of this Trump administration. But once he announced these tariffs, everything went into a free fall. Now, you bring up a really important point, which is the people who voted for Trump based off of whether it was tariffs, whether it was his three famous words time around, which is gasoline and groceries. He went on, and as I said before, making these assertions that tariffs protect American interests. He talked about how that will bring manufacturing back to America. As if you can go into like a Walmart or a Costco and buy an inflatable manufacturing facility, right? Just, pump up for the next, 6 months. And you'll have an inflatable manufacturing facility. These facilities take years to build. Not days, not months, but years. It all sounds really good on paper to these folks. But I want to ask you this, because one of the tariffs that he's imposing, for example, on Canada, is steel and aluminum. He's also imposing tariffs on China, which is where a lot of parts on vehicles come from. There's no doubt in my mind that the United Auto Workers, that unions, are going to take a slap, like a slap heard round the world. But I want to even expand that to, how do you think that these tariffs are going to impact the American worker? And I'm not just talking about in manufacturing, though I do want you to answer it for manufacturing, like the unions, but also just everyday businesses in this
YouTube. Unvaccinated subhuman. Trump all day proud American United States.
Bro, you ain't paying attention. For real, if you're still supporting him, you are not paying attention. Or you're a Nazi, but I try not to assume that about people. And why do you call yourself subhuman?
YouTube. Unvaccinated subhuman. No, bro, you're not.
Yeah. You're talking to somebody who is not only well studied but well versed in
YouTube.
psychology.
Unvaccinated subhuman. Are all Trump supporters Nazi?
No. That's why I said that. That's why I said I try not to make that kind of assumption. I also separated that as something different. Maybe you should listen to the words being used. Maybe you should start listening. And stop assuming.
YouTube. Unvaccinated subhuman. You think Elon is a Nazi?
Elon's proven himself to be a Nazi. Stop being a fool. You don't sit there and do the Nazi salute twice and joke about it. That's not a joke. Nazism is no joke. If you think it's funny, you need to seek mental help.
YouTube. Unvaccinated subhuman. Maybe you should lift some weights, bro.
Oh, God. Hey, dumbass. There's called different body types. I have a slender body type. You more than likely have a husky one. You more than likely have a little bit of extra bone as well as a little bit of extra muscle or fat weight. You more than likely have a stockier build.
Unvaccinated subhuman. There's been plenty of politicians that have done that. AOC did the same thing as
No, stop it. Stop that bullshit right now. AOC did not. You need to stop that bullshit right now. Go do your fucking research, dude. There's a difference between pausing and taking a picture moment in time and someone doing it live on fucking stage.
YouTube. Unvaccinated subhuman. Look it up.
I have. I've seen it. I've seen what you're talking about. You're being a fucking fool. People like you who refuse to take the time to actually do
YouTube.
looking outside all their
Unvaccinated
typical
subhuman.
bullshit.
AOC did it on stage.
No, AOC did not do it on stage. AOC got caught at a moment where her arm was in the ending position. So did Harris. But guess what? The arm didn't come to that position in the same way. Stop your shit. You either don't know enough about Nazis, or just don't know enough about the people you're dealing with. Give me 1 second, I will figure out what that's saying there, but it held your message because it thinks for some reason that there was something there that shouldn't be typed. We will find out. And
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. Do you find it weird that Thomas Crooks, the kid that tried to kill Trump, was in a BlackRock commercial?
Dude, the people that tried to kill Trump are locked up. You're being a fool. Sadly, I cannot allow that one.
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. He was in a BlackRock commercial in 2022. Isn't that weird though?
You mean the fact that he was in a commercial before he tried to do this shit to Trump? No, that's not very weird, dude.
Ani mogu plausibilitato commentare novi y pravi.
Just so you're aware, I do have viewers from other countries, and I use Google Translate to communicate with them. I figured I might let you know before you start getting too grumpy there. And dude, quit calling yourself subhuman. Seriously. It's like you may not be the brightest bulb in the box, but you're not subhuman.
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. I bet you think COVID came from the wet market too, huh?
Dude. COVID is quite literally a disease that came from bat guano, of which a Japanese, no, it was Chinese scientist was researching. It made the jump, and before it killed him, he put out his fucking report. I got to read his fucking scientific report. I got to read directly from the person who fucking discovered COVID-19. Yeah, it got loose, but it wasn't from a lab. It got loose in fucking nature.
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. It was developed in a lab, dude.
No, stop your shit. Quite literally, stop your shit.
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. It was man-made, bro.
No, it's not. And if you want to keep up with that, I will remove you. Because you are spreading false information. And I will not put up with it. I have read the report from the scientist who fucking discovered it. And got it out right before he fucking died from it. Do not try to tell me that bullshit. Put it quite simply,
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. One day you'll wake up. I feel bad for you, kinda.
dude, you're the one asleep. Why do you think y'all keep calling us woke? Fool. You fucking idiot. And it's a willful ignorance, and that's why it pisses me off so much. You have all this data at your fingertips, and you refuse to fucking look at it. You fucking pathetic. You're not subhuman. No, you're fucking human. Deal with it. Use that fucking brain in your head. Do some research, and quit adding your bias on top of your research. You fool!
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. There's nothing woke about you. You're a disgrace to humanity.
Look who's talking. Seriously. You listen to a fucking idiot who I guarantee can't even change his own diaper, who is being controlled by several other dictators and idiots. And can't figure out the difference between tariffs and taxation. To him, there is no difference. Except the fact that tariffs, the money goes almost directly to the companies. Which is what he wants. You see, morons like you still sit here and think you're fighting a left versus right war.
Unvaccinated subhuman. What's your opinion on Alex Jones?
My opinion on Alex Jones is I need to look him up again and refresh my memory on who he is. I recognize the name. But no, you especially are being rather foolish. You're trying to fight a left versus right scenario. It's not a left versus right. It's a rich versus poor, you dumb fuck. And guess what? We're on the same side. You're quite literally the soldier being an idiot.
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. Oh dear lord.
I'm sorry I don't keep track of everybody all the time. I'm sorry you seem to think for some reason that you're in a culture war.
YouTube,
kind of funny.
Unvaccinated subhuman. You're on Satan's side.
Bro, are you still... Thank you for proving how intelligent you actually are. Thank you for showing me. Ignorance is not a bad thing, but to be willfully ignorant is. It means you choose to do this stupid shit. Even though you have the answer in front of your face. You have the truth. You just don't want to look at it. That's pathetic. That's disgusting. And extremely small-minded. Now, what makes you think that you're so smart?
YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman. We are in the greatest fight of good versus evil right now. It's a psychological spiritual war being fought in our minds. YouTube, unvaccinated subhuman, fought.
Wow. Yeah, dude. You don't have a damn clue. Not at all. You don't have a bloody clue what's going on. How can you be so fucking ignorant? How can you willfully be so fucking ignorant, even? How can you have everywhere else in the world that has been your allies for how many hundreds of years?
Unvaccinated subhuman, your goddess.
I am not a fool. I do not believe in imaginary friends like that. As a matter of fact, I sat there and went through the entire Bible and found the spot where it said you didn't fucking need it. I came from fucking Christianity. And unlike a bunch of fucking idiots, I actually got through the lessons. And I follow Jesus' teachings, even though I'm not Christian or religious at all. So, if anybody should be talking about a lack of something, it's you lack within to be able to go without religion. There's something missing within you. You have to have some kind of supposed imaginary
Unvaccinated
force.
subhuman. I'm so sorry for what's going to happen to you. God bless you, sir.
What's gonna happen? Dude, you don't have a clue. Not even about that. As someone who not only is certified to be doing exorcisms, to remove spirits and demons from places and people, you don't have a clue. And on that note, have a nice day. If you really are that blinded as to have your head that far up your ass, you might as well just sit down and shut up. Because all you're going to do is make a fool of yourself. Scientists are going to look at your ass and go, "You're fucking stupid. Oh my God." See, I can handle someone like you a lot better than I can handle listening to fucking Trump. Because you at least have a little bit more intelligence than Trump does. For fucking real. You may be stuck in fucking Brainwashville, but you've got more intelligence than he does. And it's sad that you think somebody who has less intelligence and less emotional intelligence than you is better than you. That is pathetic. That is weakness at its core. I sat there through that entire fucking joint session speech. From the time it went live to the time it stopped. And guess what? I saw it all. I saw the bullshit. I saw those 10 Republicans walk over to the Democrat side and sit down wearing pink. And then vote to take one of the Democrats out. Censor his ass. And make everybody think it was Democrats. Y'all need to wake the fuck up. You're being screwed, glued, and tattooed, and you don't fucking see it. You're getting screwed, glue tattooed, and going back to Trump saying, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" How are your egg prices doing? How are prices on anything doing? And I can tell you now, no, it's not Biden's fault. Biden had this shit down. And by down, I mean down. I've watched the economy. I've watched politics. I've even watched you fuckers. I study social psychology for fun. I study astrophysics for fun. Applied physics, I know it like breathing. I'm the kind of guy that you fear me not because of my physical appearance, but because of what's in my head. And honestly, would much rather nobody fears me. Because like I said, I strive to be Christ-like, which would include not having people fearing me. If you fear me, you're doing something wrong. Any way, shape, or form. If I am any kind of threat to you, you're doing something wrong. If stuff I'm saying is hurting your feelings, you're doing something wrong. I don't care how much y'all want to support somebody who doesn't agree with science, but that's completely and utterly incorrect and wrong. Because guess what? Science is the thing that explains the world around you. In all of its actuality and fact. You deny science, you deny reality. You deny reality? You might as well just go lay down. Go lay down in a hole. Go find the elephant dying pit. And that's not a political remark. Just to be clear. I don't know how you people can be so ungodly stupid. Y'all act like you've never worshipped a God once in your fucking lives. Especially not the Christian God. For fucking real. Y'all need to get over your shit about this left versus right bullshit. You're not fighting a culture war. You're fighting a class war. And you're on the same side as people you're trying to fight. Whether you realize it or not. No, this isn't some fucking holy war either. Because half the people you're still trying to fight are still fucking Christians. Or of the same fucking religion as you.
Emotional, damn it!
Thank you, science. So pull your heads out of your asses. With respect, I say that. I may not have been in other points, but with respect. Pull your heads out of your asses. Y'all are fucking smarter than this. For real. You guys are trusting somebody who is dumber than you. someone who would sit there and create more bureaucracy to benefit him. And the rich fuckers. Y'all really need to start paying attention. Yeah, what I use is got a little bit of a left bias to it. But so does reality. And I hate to tell you that, but that's pretty fucking legit. Reality has a left-leaning bias. So does science. As in, the study. Because guess what? The world's not black and white. The world's 50 shades of gray. Set in cause and effect. In other words, something's going to cause something else to happen. This is inevitable. It happens all the time. It's the basis of how our world works. If I have to go into a science lesson, I can. If you really want me to, I can. Unvaccinated won't be able to tell me that if that's what he wants because, well, his chat's been hidden. As I've said, I will not put up with it. I spend too much time studying, researching, and learning the truth from all around the fucking world to sit here and listen to that bullshit from someone who has not taken the time to do what they need to do to find out that it's bullshit. I get it. Y'all don't have unlimited time. But bullshit like that ain't hard to check.
Zadorova Simo.
I can't do that because I don't know the language well enough to know that that would actually translate properly. No. No.
Really?
Dublin, stay off my table. You need to listen, little girl.
Hello there.
Yeah, I don't have problems with anybody from anywhere. Unless they want to have problems with anyone saying that what's going on is not right. You can be Russian. I'm not going to judge you for it. You support Putin? Well, yeah, that I'm probably going to judge you for. I'm not going to lie. If you support Vladimir Putin, I'm probably going to judge you for it. Dude's a POS. On a positive note, and I do mean this as a positive note, more of a, it's not a compliment, but it's not meant as a negative either. Positive note, is Putin's too scared to pull a Hitler. Putin also doesn't want quite that much from what I'm understanding. If Putin wanted to, he very much could. But it doesn't really seem he wants to. Same time, knowing Putin, that could be the intention. When you sit here and study psychology all day, and most of the time you're thinking of how people behave, how thought patterns go, it tends to be a lot easier to understand the world around you. When you're especially adept at figuring out people's motivations, it tends to help you in the world around you. If you keep an open mind and be accepting of other people's beliefs and shit within reason, it's extremely helpful. So, Mr. Unvaccinated made it clear that he thinks he's fighting a holy war. Not a big surprise. "100% ignorance, but not a big surprise." I feel sorry for what's going to happen to you, buddy. Yeah. Not me you gotta be worried about. Might want to worry about yourself. Because I hate to tell you, dude, but you're on the wrong side of reality. And the study of everything that is existing on this planet, and to our knowledge. So, wrong side of reality, wrong side of science, and wrong side of history. Yeah. That one's a little big. Can't get to the right side of science, psychology, science, history, facts, reality. You're living in a delusion at that point. At that point, you're 100% living in a delusion. Denying science? Come on. It was made in a lab! No, the fuck it wasn't. COVID-19 was discovered by a scientist researching bat guano in a cave filled with bats. And he released his scientific report to the community about 2 months before he died from COVID-19. In other words, by that time, COVID-19 had already made the fucking jump to humans. See, and I found out about this before Trump ever said a goddamn thing. And that's pretty pathetic. I should not be finding out about it before the president. I should not be someone speaking up and saying something before the president does. If you're going to believe Trump's bullshit lies, might as well just dig your fucking grave, dude. They're easy to fucking disprove. Honestly, if you're going to believe that shit, don't come to a place of intelligence and try to start talking. Because we'll shut you down. You damn right we're going to shut your ass down. Because we know what we're talking about. 100%. We typically spend the days doing so. So I can almost guarantee your redneck ass is not going to have more accurate information. And I say, yo, redneck ass, because I'm a redneck ass. As much as I may look like a city slicker, I'm not. And I would suggest that you stop judging people by appearances. One of these days can get you killed. And I bet y'all think that I'm just some liberal, too. Yeah, be dumb enough to show up at my door and try to push in. See how quickly you get around to the skull. Now, if y'all are willing to put your big boy pants on and stop acting like Meal Team 6, maybe you can actually get some shit done. But, if not...
Oh my god, why is this horrible?
Oh. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Is that supposed to be Strasser? Strasser? How do I say your name? As far as to answer the question, why is this horror? If you're referring to the what I'm going on about?
Bro, go to school, okay?
Excuse me? Care to elaborate on why you want to say that to somebody who has a damn good chance of having more knowledge than you? Because I've not been spitting anything here but facts and reality. So, yeah, if you're telling me to go to school, care to be a little bit more specific?
put on a t-shirt and go to work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not like my half-naked upper torso? Dude, I'm disabled for a reason. Dumbasses like Mr. Unvaccinated that I've been dealing with today are part of it. I'm not allowed to work. As a matter of fact, this is as close as I get to having work. Because people like you don't realize disabled people get fucked. People don't like to hire disabled people. We're a liability. And you're damn right the government don't pay us enough. Those of us who are disabled, as in legitimately disabled, not having worked enough time to have the credits for that kind of disability, we don't even get $1,000 a month to try to live on. You want to talk about go to work? Motherfucker, get off your ass.
Stop playing the victim. That's not how you're going to get out of this.
Get out of what, motherfucker? The only one I see here playing the victim is you. Victim of your own lack of education. But please, go on and say what you think is so horrible about my living situation. Please, go on and tell me what it is you couldn't bear about how I live. Please tell me about how you would crumple under the conditions and situations I have to live through. Please, continue telling me how weak and pathetic you are. And I think it's funny. Dumbasses like you. Go get a job. Put a shirt on. First off,
Stop smoking, it kills your lungs.
Okay, you go tilt that to Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg, several other major vocalists that have smoked their entire lives and still have perfectly good vocals and lungs. Yes, tell a vocalist to stop doing what he's been doing for years. Because there's a chance he'll get cancer. Yes, the chance is pretty big. I won't argue that. But to say it kills your lungs? Nah. It can. If you sit there and continually smoke unfiltered, yeah, it can certainly fuck your lungs up. That's why I use bubbler. That's why I use something that's got a filter. So, is that it? Should I get back to it now?
Russia.
What about Russia?
In my region now is flying the unmanned aerial vehicle.
Yeah. Russia's using drones. Depending on the drone, kind of drone you're talking about, have been for a while.
Trump or Kamala? Dude military.
Dude, there's more than one kind of drone in the military. Neither, honestly. Trump was a stark liar, and Kamala didn't give a shit about poor people. Kamala, it was like middle class. It's like, hey, the economy's built on a trickle up. How about you worry about the poor fuckers first? How about you worry about the homeless and starving people first? And then some of that, as you're doing that, will actually start to boost the middle class. And then you can work on the whole middle class together. Because we weren't supposed to have a bottom class. It was supposed to be middle, top.
You show a bad image of yourself and your family. Stop drinking, stop smoking, and work to make your dreams come true. Where are you from?
United States, sadly. You make a bet. No. My blood family was the bad image. And they're a lot like you. Not able to take responsibility for their own actions. Not even able to get over their own egos. It was really rather quite pathetic. And really sucked to be me and growing up in that.
A po-Ruski Budet government.
What I mean?
Lol, it's Saund Lake Rassen. Are you trying to translate March boards?
Yes, I have to. Otherwise, I don't understand. I do not speak Russian. Oh, it's not Russian.
In writing on Russian we'll be speaking.
Okay. Yeah, it's supposed to sound like it.
You don't support Russia.
No, I don't support Russia.
Why?
because to support Russia is to support Vladimir
Ukraine
Putin.
is democracy, not Russia.
Agreed. I support Ukraine 100%. I have no problem talking to people from Russia. But,
Okay, what about me?
do you support Vladimir Putin?
Standard Russian man.
Do you support Putin? Do you agree with him? Not even support, just do you agree with him? If I remember correctly, you should be able to say that one without any worries.
About war.
In general. I'm trying to think of ways that you could be able to talk about it without possibly getting in trouble, dude.
Not at all, but he's hidden smart man.
He is definitely a lot smarter than he shows. That I cannot argue. Good. And you're good, dude. No, if you don't support Putin, you're good. No, we can accept that our enemies have strengths without being supporting them. Which, yeah, Vladimir Putin is an enemy to most Americans. And a portion of the Americans still look at Russian citizens in the same way.
At mix all your life must be impossible after the sanctions from Europe. Okay, but what do you think about usually Russian?
Russian people, I don't have any problems with. There's a difference between a people and its government. Case in point, Canada, UK, and whatnot are all pissed off at America. I've got friends from around the world. None of them are pissed at me. They're pissed at my government, the people doing the shit. If I supported them, yeah, they'd probably my government. Yeah, those people would probably be pissed at me, and rightfully so. But it's the same thing. I'm not going to be pissed off at someone who's Russian just for being Russian. Now, if you're going to follow Vladimir and agree with him, think he's a good guy and that shit, then we're going to have a problem. Up until that point, no. There's no fucking point. It just creates more issues.
And to say that you are the descendant of the people who defeated our Napoleon Bonaparte is not possible. I don't have original Coca-Cola and big prizes. But it all good. Good asterisk.
What do you mean, descendant of the people who defeated Napoleon?
Vive la France, 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 France.
Interesting. You did it right. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know nothing about
Ha ha ha, American, Russian, and France. Like in joke.
Oh, I didn't know how to joke, so. Yeah, that's one thing is, history, once it gets outside of, well, the United States or some of my own ethnic backgrounds, I don't have much information. I know just a little bit about Napoleon and not enough.
Can you invite me in America?
Can I invite you in America? As in... what? I'm a little confused on what you mean.
Or him invite you in Russia?
Are you talking about an invite to visit, or what particularly? I'm a little confused. Not quite understanding.
You are really the caricature of Americans in the movies. You definitely have a gun at home. Like visit.
Actually, I do not have a gun. Okay. It's gonna be a while before I try to come over to Russia. No offense.
Oh, good American.
And as far as safety goes, I would not suggest visiting here at the moment. Just for your own safety. I mean, for real.
My friend is Bear. He is sitting with me.
Hello, Bear. Or is he a bear? Because there's a difference. Sometimes people go by the name Bear, and sometimes people have a bear.
Bear.
Okay. Well then, still, my hello. I'm very much an animal person. Before what I'm doing now, which is live in babysitting.
His name is Misha.
It's Misha. Nice. Hello, Misha. Sorry. I had to let Dad's pup off timeout. Butthead's been spike pottying in the house. The oldest of my two younger brothers has narcissistic personality disorder and was allowed time alone around my dad's dog. So now the pup's got some issues. But that wouldn't that make it Ursurang versus
And I have she TSHU with dog.
Shih Tzu. Loki is Great Pyrenees. He's a pretty big boy.
His name is Bagel.
Bagel?
Bublik on Russian.
Public. Definitely sounds better. No, I have no need to keep a gun. I am rather proficient with blades. And I'm not exactly out in the country anymore where I gotta worry about cougars, wolves, coyotes getting after my livestock. So I have no need for a gun.
And in weightlifter.
Nice. Not I. Well, I used to be a cyclist, but I haven't had a really good bike in a few years.
Mao.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I don't.
View asterisk. Do you like I show speed?
I can't say I do because I don't know it. Can't say I like or dislike something.
Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi?
Well, I've heard of Cristiano.
Did you watch Supernatural?
Yes. I know Cristiano. Messi is not ringing a bell.
In watching second time right now.
Nice. Sam or Dean? And why?
Do you want to learn Russian a little bit?
Sadly, the best way for me to learn Russian is to just continue conversating with you, as far as through translator and having you type it in Russian. I slowly learn it a little bit by bit. And I will say, as I'm using the translator, I need to try to make sure I say this every time. Please let it be known, if I'm using the translator, I'm not going to be using that.
Cat.
Interesting.
Sobaka dog.
Sobaka. Yeah, like I told somebody yesterday, it's like the only two words in Russian I know are yes and no. It's like, you might as well just said vodka. It's like, I get you though. I get what you're saying. It's like, I told you my Russian was bad. I didn't know
In
shit.
France, we are a democracy. In the city of love in Paris, you may have a chance to find your soulmate. Menya Zovu, my name is.
And Yuzo. My name is. Okay. There would be a couple of things I need to know before I could go to Paris, or France for that matter. One, I would need to know if pot was legal, because that is medication for me. If it's not legal, I can't go. It's one of those
Yalu
sort of
Rossi
things.
im Lovrus.
So, what is the word Rus? Do you know the American English translation for the word? So that's one I'm still. Yeah, the translator can't figure the word out. And I'm trying not to go off the assumption I have for the word. I don't like it. Assuming. Or having people assume things about me. It's a wonderfully horrible form of miscommunication. Assumptions. I'm here. We're here. Stubborn bite. Trying to give you what you want, you're being rat. Can't bite. Yeah, I know that's what you wanted. No, Miss Pesty. No, Miss Pesty. Yeah. Yeah, the only language I know fluently is English, American English. Technically, I also speak broken British English because they're so similar. And the small differences are not something that I've not able to take into account rather quickly. But I know a little bit of Spanish. By a little bit, I mean I know enough to get me in a fight or ask where the bathroom is. How to use my manners. Say excuse me. Be polite. Hello, goodbye. Just some real basics. But then again, I've spent years around Spanish-speaking people. And I mean years. For about 3 years there, I was actually working at a Mexican nightclub. I was a security member. Out of all the spots they put me, parking lot. Needless to say, my customers love me. Because I am one of those people, I run tight ship. But, if you follow the few rules I got, everybody can have a good fucking time. So, the whole rules of going to that club was, you're not allowed to drink outside at the club. Okay. Let's see. Because these guys still wanted to drink before they went in, and I can't blame them. It's a lot fucking cheaper. The fucking beer there was $5. And I mean a fucking Coors. That wasn't even a Dos Equis or freaking Pacifico. Corona, no. The American domestic beer was $5. I was just like, ouch. No wonder they're all wanting to drink before they come in. So I looked at my local laws and regulations. Well, there's this whole little thing of here in Oregon, if you're within your car, it's got a certain enclosed space. That space is considered private property. If you are doing something in that space, unless you're breaking a law that I can visibly see, there's nothing I can do about it. And I told every one of my customers that. It's like, if you guys drinking in your car, there ain't a goddamn thing I can do about it. Because that's your private property. That's not mine. I can't do a damn thing. You step out of that car with the beer dog, the alcohol and whatnot, then I gotta do something. Then it is within my authority and whatnot to do something. Please don't make me do that. I only ever had to confiscate one or two things of alcohol. And honestly, it was already the end of the night. And they're just like, what are we going to do with that? It's like, is that beer outside your car? Yeah, we want to get rid of it. We don't need it. I'll take it off your hands. And you're like, oh, okay, hell yeah. That shit was great. I loved working there. I wish it didn't mess me up so much, though. It was a 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift, and I was fucking hurt. My legs and back are already screwed up. So imagine standing walking that entire time. Yeah, not fun. Not fun. Nights that it was almost dead sucked. Because there'd be almost nobody there. But every other night, fucking nice. People chit-chat, hang out with while I was doing my work. There towards the end, free beers every night. No, for real. Before I got done working there, they were sending me home with damn near a case of beer every night. My customers. Hey, you got beer for tonight? Nope. Here you go. Yeah, there were several times I was bad during that job. I sat there and drank the job times. I'm not gonna lie. But I did what it took to keep a good rapport with customers. Even at my own expense. There was only one time I really got drunk while I was working. Every other time it's like, nope. I'm at where I need to be. I need to not go any farther because I'm still working. The day that I was smashed. It was damn near my last day. And things were starting to get out of hand inside. There was a bunch of bullshit going on. And I was just like, not today. Not today. So I ended up drinking with everybody. They had brought Patron. Yeah, I know what it's like to have Patron from the Crystal Skull. That's some good shit. And when I found out how much that bottle cost, I saw the guy next time and I went, you gave me alcohol from a bottle of how expensive? He's like, oh shit. He's like, that's why I didn't tell you? It's like, you asshole. Should at least tell me that it's the good shit so I know. He's like, okay. That's a fair point. Because you really did like it. It's like, yeah, I did. And it's like, and you know me, I typically don't drink tequila. He's like, yeah. But then again, that homie had a bunch of other things going on that night. I ain't gonna get into his business, because it's his business. But I even got invited to a birthday party by one of my customers. And I felt really weird about it at first. But once I got there, got a couple of beers in me, I started to relax. And it was fucking awesome. I thought it was weird being invited to a birthday party. Well, as somebody outside of the family sort of shit. But no, apparently I was a good enough friend that, yeah, make him on. Okay. Win. Alright, and we're about to hit an ad break for Twitch here in about 40 seconds. When we get back, we will fire back up our news. and sidebar and chit chat for a moment. Because right now it's primarily me running my mouth. As to where I do enjoy sharing my stories, that is not the main purpose of this stream. See you in a little bit, Twitch. Let me get some coffee. Okay, for everybody else over on YouTube, and those who don't have commercials on Twitch, we are still active. I've got sausage corn dogs. I've also got summer stuff. I don't need that if I'm using phone. I have a salted caramel. That salted caramel whipped cream's good shit. Oops. I haven't done that in a while. I actually spilled some coffee outside of my cup. Down the handle, even. Stage left, even! For those who don't know who that imitation is, that is Snagglepuss. Classic cartoon character. If I was to describe Snagglepuss, I would describe him as the Pink Panther's, well, little flamboyant, cousin or brother. There we go. No, it doesn't need a little talk right now. So we are back, and let's get rolling with the news section. Again. Because technically, this is the last one.
Of this global trade tariff war that he's creating.
Yeah. Well, a lot of countries obviously outsource products and materials to China, Canada, Mexico, and other countries. So it's going to affect them. It's going to be increased costs for them. And ultimately, they're not going to be able to pay some other workers. Like you said, you're going to see people losing jobs. You're going to see businesses going out or going under because of this, this new rule by him. So it is going to impact small businesses and then employees and workers, especially in the automobile industry and manufacturing and union workers, but they've never cared about union workers.
But no, for real, this is going to affect everybody's tariffs. It's not just going to be buying it at the store that you're going to be affected. If you work in any of these production industries that put forth this stuff, you're going to be affected. In work. This could even mean that your job goes bye-bye. I'm not saying that's what it actually is. I'm saying it's a possibility. And that's not a good thing for anybody.
It's going to affect people across the board, whether you're just a consumer or you're a worker in the industry or you're a small business.
I mean, think about construction. the entire construction industry. Again, one of the things he is imposing a 25% tariff on is softwood. Softwood is what's used in the construction of homes. So, who again do you think? Do you think that these big developers, do you think that they're going to be so magnanimous that they're going to eat the 25% tariff? Or, logically, do you think that they're going to pass it on to the consumer, to the buyer of the house? Now, just again, to add more fuel to this fire, already interest rates are exceptionally high. So the cost to buy a house is even going to be increased, which means that you would have to take out a higher mortgage, which means that you're going to be paying higher monthly payments in order to fulfill that mortgage obligation, which most people will not be able to do, especially because they're losing their jobs. And if they're not losing their jobs, they're also losing, for example, if you are a part of a union, you're not going to be getting the overtime that you were getting before because nothing is trading, nothing is selling. You know, Alan, I watched the other day on Fox. They had a guy at a dealership, and he said this Ford Ram truck has an MSRP of $80,000, but as a result of the tariff, the owner of the dealership raised the price, knowing that they're going to have increased tariffs, there's going to be less sales, to $100,000. And they said to him, do you really think that that's a smart move? And his comment was, it makes no difference. No one's going to be able to afford it anyway. What's your comment?
Yeah, you can see they're already doing it preemptively, knowing that these tariffs were going into effect. So, yeah, I mean, house prices are already astronomical, plus interest rates that are over 6%. I mean, it's become nearly impossible for people to afford the American dream of owning a home. So I think a lot of MAGA, Trump supporters thought that it would be easier to own a home and do all those things, and now it's actually going to be a lot more difficult, and more difficult than it already is. I think we're going to see a real estate market crash, relatively soon. You have people who are just losing their jobs, especially in this area. I live in Northern Virginia, and federal workers are being laid off left and right. People that I know personally, and they can't afford to live here anymore. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with relatively soon. But ultimately, I think this is just a disaster waiting to happen. And it's just making life more difficult for people who are just trying to get by. I mean, not everyone is, rolling in the dough able to afford a $5 million home. Some people are simply just trying to buy their starter home, and now it's going to be much more difficult to do that.
And think about all of the Gen Zers that are out there. They are never going to be able to live the American dream that their parents and their grandparents and great-grandparents had the opportunity to do so. Things are too expensive. You start to see more and more children refusing to leave their parents' homes because they either don't want to have to deal with the expense or they can't afford the expense. And so unless they're going to get parental help, and now it's hard for everybody, unless again you're in that 1%. I'm with you 100%. There's going to be a stock market crash.
Yeah,
and
there's no question.
Who's going to pick up all the pieces? Well, it's going to be the 1%ers, the hedge funders that are going to come in with massive amounts of money from other funds, and they just
hold up. I called this out last night. Michael's explaining exactly what I talked about last night.
Going to buy up all the properties and rent them out and wait for the market to change. Again, exploiting the middle and lower class, which is what I believe that these happen.
And that was the topper of it. So no, I'm not the only one who sees it. Obviously. And if both Cohen and I see it, Michael Cohen, then the economists certainly see it. I'm not an economist, neither is Cohen. But we've got a half-ass idea what's going on with that. Yeah. If any of you think that the stock market's not going to crash, you're lying to yourself. Three. It's not a possible, it's going to at this rate. Unless course changes drastically quickly, the economy is going to crash. And as I said, the millionaires and billionaires are going to pick up what is destroyed. They're going to sit there and buy what they can at dirt cheap. And then we all screwed. So let me be clear. What Trump is doing is 100% for his rich buddies. And anyone rich. Donald Trump does not give a rat's ass about anybody who doesn't make a half-decent amount of money. From the sounds of things, at least about $500,000 a year. So, you fucking huh.
Tariffs are going to ultimately do. And it's terrible. I feel so bad
Don't start
for
camping.
Gen Z and your generation because it is nearly impossible. And I'm not saying that there's not a handful of scenarios that you can point out about young kids making fortunes off of crypto and so on. But you know what? I know people who are in the crypto business. All they do is trade crypto. One time we were out for dinner, and the person turned around and said to me, "You're not going to believe it. I crushed it today." I said, "Oh, yeah?" "Yeah." The portfolio that this person has was up about $2.3 million. The next time we had dinner, they turned around and they said to me, I said, "Oh, by the way, how's your crypto doing?" "Fuck you, Michael. I don't want to talk about it." I said, "Why?" "It's down 5.25. $5.5 million. All right, and now I'm not trading crypto anymore. It's too volatile. I don't want to lose everything that I have. All right, so yeah, we hear stories, success stories, AI success stories. There are handfuls, and these young kids end up becoming part of the 1/10 of 1%ers, and it doesn't affect them. But what about everybody else in their class? And why is it then that Gen Z, there's still a large group of Gen Z that support Trump and his policy ideology?
You know, I think a large part of it, and this has just been my long-held belief, is that people just simply aren't very informed or just don't do the research or they just don't care to. They don't care about politics. They hear something somewhere, especially with the spread of misinformation across all social media platforms. They're seeing something and then saying, "That sounds great." Like you said, like Trump saying that we're going to bring American manufacturing here as a result of the tariffs. It's just not that simple, but they hear it and it sounds great to them. So I think that's truly the cause of a lot of this Gen Z conservative movement, and it's up to us to push.
And that, once again, is another point where I've said, the world is not black and white. It's 50 shades of gray. Now, if you can get that through your head, you actually have a good footing. If you're willing to figure that bit out and apply it to everything, you're in a good standing. As I've said earlier in the stream, I'm saying now, again. Tariffs are like a fucking rifle. BB gun with high recoil. That has a knife on the buttstock. And if that knife is not touching some part of skin, an electrical charge does not go to trigger the trigger when you pull the trigger. So, to make it happen and be accurate, you must actually have that knife up to your shoulder. Touching. A nice knife. And you pull that trigger, and that gun kicks. Kicks right back into your shoulder. Embedding that knife. The reason I say a BB gun with a high recoil is because what you're doing to these other countries is basically shooting a BB at them. Or a pellet. Out of a fucking air rifle. Not an actual firearm. And that air rifle was made defectively. Yeah, tariffs can bring jobs, but more than likely it can bump production and whatnot here, but it's not likely going to happen. The odds of things going the way Trump says they're going to go is not good at all.
Back, and to be there, to be the opposition voice who's actually providing, real facts and data.
It's true. I mean, just talk about a manufacturing facility for a second. In order to build a automobile manufacturing facility, it requires a ton of steel. This country doesn't produce nearly enough steel for what we already have use for, let alone now to increase it by building several different manufacturing facilities just in the automobile industry. It's why you're right. It sounds great on paper, but in reality, it's an impossibility. On top of that, during his address yesterday, Trump took direct aim at transgender rights, particularly in the context of sports. How do you think that this rhetoric affects public perception of the transgender community, especially, young transgender people just trying to find their place in society.
Right, yeah. They're demonizing them. They're creating this group of people saying, we don't understand your lifestyle or your feelings or choices because, we don't feel the same way you do. And so, we're going to demonize you because we don't understand you. Like, you don't have a place in society. Their current outlook is that trans people do not exist. They're mentally ill, or they've made it up in their head, and that they shouldn't be allowed to do certain things. They shouldn't be allowed to join the military because it's a mental illness. And I just find the whole thing revolting. Trans people have existed since the beginning of time. They just weren't able to fully express themselves or be out and proud of who they are because of how society was. That's how gay people and lesbian people were as well. It's not that they didn't exist, it's that they were hiding, they were in the closet. And so that's how transgender people have been, and that's how they'll always be. They'll be around. We're not going to ever get to a point where we look back and say that was just like a point in history, which is what they keep saying, is that this is just a sad blip in history. Transgender people will be around, they'll be in our society, and we need to figure out a way to integrate them that's fair and equitable. And it's not excluding transgender high school students from a sport that they love when there's it's 1% of the students in high school sports are actually transgender at that age. And so it's just creating a mountain out of a molehill. It's so frustrating because it's become their big talking point. And I think there is a way to have a common sense solution to including transgender children in the sports they love. And then when they get to an age where maybe they're playing college sports or the NCAA wants to regulate, this male male at birth person wants to compete in women's sports, he has to undergo certain hormonal therapies, he has to reach a certain level of estrogen so that we can make it fair and safe for all. I think there's a fair and common sense solution to all of this, and it's not saying they can't compete in sports at all or they have to compete in this sport where that's not the gender that they identify with and they feel completely out of place and don't. It's like there is a common sense middle ground that's also going to be safe and equitable for women as well.
I do have to say though, Trump did a miraculous job last night in demonizing the transgender community. He was masterful in it. He put up into the galley, sitting directly next to Melania, who looked fantastic, had these two young girls sitting there. The first one was a volleyball player.
Yeah.
Of course it was a show. She was a volleyball player. And he told the story that this transgender born male, female, during a match that she was in, spiked the ball with such ferocity that it hit her in the head and caused brain damage. And they welcomed her, and the Republicans all cheered as the Democrats sat there stoic, stone-faced, arms crossed. And she got up and she started to wave this young blonde girl, looking very dazed, that she now suffers brain damage from the force of that volleyball hitting her in the head. Now, I have so many questions. I have a hard time imagining that a volleyball, I don't care how hard it's spiked and by who. We're talking about high school. We're talking about pros against a 4-year-old. You're talking about high schoolers. And I have a real funny feeling that if nonpartisan doctors took a look at what was going on here, it might have been maybe she got knocked backwards and banged her head. That's certainly possible. No different than two kids getting into a fight. One punches the other in the face, or somebody trips the other guy and he falls on the back of their head and they end up with serious concussion, but something just smelled wrong. Then they had the mother of a young boy, a young girl, another young girl, I believe it was, who played onto that whole scenario where Trump was claiming that teachers were doing transgender operations, that your daughter or your son leaves the house and comes back as your daughter, and so on. And this mother was there, allegedly, that they were referring to the son as a female in school, that's what the kid wanted, and he is now, with the stroke of a Sharpie, he is going to put an end to all of this. He was masterful in showing real human beings who are being affected by this, but as you said, it is like a piece of sand on the beach, and he's making that one piece of sand the entire beach.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like you said, in theory, if a boy, right, he's a high school student under the age of 18, is able to hit a volleyball that hard to injure a girl, he could also do the same to
another
fellow male athletes.
Yes.
Right? Like, I don't think you have a softer head as a girl at that age.
When your car breaks down, you take it to a mechanic with no hesitation. You need it, and it's not something most guys can fix themselves. I know I can't. And men should think the exact same way about ED, but the reality is, you might be hesitant to seek help. Thankfully, through HIMSS, you can get access to personalized ED treatment without stepping outside the door. HIMSS is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your own couch. HIMSS provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard
The other point I'd like to make on that volleyball scenario is, if a high school male can do it, a high school female can do it too.
His girlfriend cheated on him.
I'm sorry if somebody doesn't like that, but that's reality.
Don't reveal your secret to anyone.
That's science.
Quinn's dying mother said to him as she collapsed in his arms.
If you don't like those things, I ain't got no help for you. Except maybe stop ignoring it. It's usually better for the person if they don't ignore reality. It tends to create a lot less issues for them.
Ongoing care. And with hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMSS can help you find the easy option that works best for you. So start your free online visit today at HIMSS.com/Cohen.
There's a reason why Nike had the commercial in the 90s of both the male athlete and the female athlete competing against each other. With the song in the background, anything you can do, I can do better. It was a point. It was a point that we are equal. That, yeah, one person may have more skill in one subject, but the other person has more skill in another subject. These are not things that should be ignored. This is part of what makes it to where we don't see each other as equals. Is not paying attention to shit like that. You got two pro tennis athletes fucking competing against each other in a fucking Nike commercial. And you don't realize that that competitive spirit's still there. It still happens, even without transgenders involved? Excuse me? What have y'all been smoking at that point? To think that competition between males and females hasn't been a thing this entire time. That Males and females haven't competed against each other this entire time. Let me tell you something. A lot of athletes don't mind taking on an unfair challenge. Matter of fact, a lot of athletes will sit there and seek out an unfair challenge to see how good they actually are. And it's the same goddamn thing. I'm sorry if for some reason you think that a teenager is going to be able to spike a volleyball hard enough to cause that kind of damage. The fall might have. Especially if she was playing on cement or hardwood. But the volleyball itself, from a fucking high schooler, you smoking fucking meth. For real. That is how far out of the fucking realm of actuality that is. To think that that spike from the volleyball is what did it. Not the collision with the floor. This, once again, is another point of the injustice that's been going on like crazy. And I'll be damned if I'm not sick of it.
Personalized EV treatment options. Again, that's hims.com/COVID. And the product mentioned are chewable compound products which are not approved or verified by safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Let's Monopoly go! Kiki! Ready, Tucker? It's go time.
Please make us look rich.
Yes, they're top hats. Wow! Oh, we're swimming in it now. Nothing's playing with friends, except staying with these friends. That's good. Unbelievable. This is a mecha versus zombies battle game. You can assemble different weapons to annihilate zombies in thrilling ways. Look, flamethrowers are more effective against regular zombies, but barely scratch the armored ones. Let me finish off these small. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
I think it's just an unfortunate accident, you know, if you really think about it. And then, yeah, in the other instance, I mean, first of all, it's just nonsensical to think that teachers are performing gender reassignment surgeries in school. I can't even begin to, talk about it, but this is the stuff that frightens people. And if they don't know any better, they really genuinely think it's happening. But, no, of course, our public schools aren't even funded well enough to have, brand new textbooks and new materials. Of course, they're not performing surgery in school. And I think it actually says a lot about the parents. If your child has to go to school and wants to be referred to as a different pronoun and they are not doing that at home and they're not telling you about it, that's actually a reflection of you as a parent. And it says a lot. It says that they're not comfortable being honest with you. And that's an environment I would never want to create for my kids. I would want them to know that they can be whoever they want to be. And if they feel like there's something wrong or they're not in the right body, they should be able to communicate that to me. And we should all be, in cohesion on this. It's not something they should have to hide. So I think that says more about the parents in this case. Obviously, if they're here attending Trump's State of the Union, yeah, of course, if they aren't accepting their children. Exactly.
No, they certainly have a breakdown in their conversation. Now, he goes on, and in attacking the use of pronouns and DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, Trump, while talking about it, is basically, again, appealing to his base. And he created a base that is concerned about cultural changes. Now, Trump seems, again, doing this a lot. And my question to you is, what do you think of the long-term implications of dismantling DEI initiatives on both the corporate and educational institutions?
Well, I think it's negative. First of all, I think they've spun this to be
Art is
something
not a
that
clown.
is oppressive to white people, right? Or white men in particular. That, they're going to be selecting this person over you because they are a minority and you're not. When in reality, DEI is about making sure that things are
That is not clown.
not, or like your gender and your race are not actually available to employers when they are making those hiring decisions. So I know many private companies have DEI programs. My mom's company does. They haven't had any problems with it, but now, of course, this has been
Where
another
do you
talking
get
point,
clown?
something to demonize. It's another three-letter acronym. It used to be CRT, and before that it was BLM, and before that it was political correctness. It's just the next thing that they've jumped onto, and it's another scapegoat and something to scare people with. It's funny how CRT just disappeared, right? They said, "Oh, we beat CRT. CRT's not in elementary schools anymore." It never was to begin with. They didn't do it.
Right.
Did. Pardon my language. But yeah. So it's just something else to freak people out. And mind you, CRT played a humongous role in an election that I worked on in 2021 in Virginia. It was one of the leading factors in why people voted for Glenn Youngkin as the governor of Virginia. And so we still have him as the governor. Now we have an election this year, and it's going to be DEI instead of CRT. So it's just the same playbook over and over again, and normal Americans can see right through it.
Yeah, I will tell you, it is interesting because I saw the other day there was a lawsuit filed by a white woman against her employer, who is a lesbian, part of the LGBTQ+ community, claiming that she was passed over for a promotion that went to another member of the LGBTQ+ community over her. And she claims it has nothing to do with merit, but rather because she's a straight white woman. And that lawsuit now has legs as a direct result of what Trump has created here. That you have every right within which to protect your rights as a white, heterosexual woman, or male for that matter. And I believe that you're going to start seeing whole law firms literally rising up and putting out advertisements. Hey, if you think that you were passed over for somebody else because of your race, religion, creed, color, sexual orientation, hey, give us a call. Because nothing like having a negligence lawyer, or 10 million of them in this country.
Yeah, you're going to see companies just being bombarded with litigation over these claims. And so now we're monitoring the hiring practices of millions of companies throughout the U.S. But truthfully, I think that the right wing believes that if you are a white male, you are categorically more qualified for a role than anybody else. They believe that if they have a white male pilot, they feel more safe and that he was probably hired on merit. What does that say about them, and about you? If that's what you believe, you have a bias that you believe that white males are generally a better fit for a job, and that's something that our country has believed for a long time, and it's still playing a role in society today. So I think it says more about their personal and internal biases than it's about anything else.
I don't care that his name, that they call him Art the Clown.
Just because
He's not a clown.
Black pilot or a black
fucking mind.
member of
There is rather a big difference.
or whatever it is, does not mean they're a DEI hire. Black mayor, they call them a DEI mayor. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Talk about what if it's a black doctor who happens to be the number one neurosurgeon in the country. What if then you have a neurological issue? Are you going to turn around and you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to go with a different doctor because I suspect that the hospital brought him on based upon DEI? You're getting his qualifications. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
that
it's so
the question I want to add one other part. How do you think that these sort of positions play out with, again, Gen Z, the younger voters, who actually have grown up more progressive on these issues? Because, to be honest, I didn't see that voter, I didn't see the Gen Z, the younger voter, making this much of an issue in the 2024 election. I thought they would, but they didn't.
Well, I think that there are two factions of Gen Z. And I think that there's an older faction, which is me. I'm on the very break between millennials and Gen Z. And we grew up in a pre-Trump era. And so I think that faction is a little bit more progressive
You really should learn the
cares
difference.
more about human rights. And the younger faction has grown up in the Trump era. All they've seen is Trump. I mean, Trump has been running for office for 2016. It's been 8 years. But
He started it. Initially, he started in 2011.
Okay, so there you go. So it's 2025. So it's 14 years. And he's been running in the past 3 presidential elections, and that's a lot. That's pretty much all the elections of
Just because the
a
only thing
young
he's
person. My
known
sister is 30, and she's never voted in an election where Donald Trump.
You need to learn the difference between a clown and a mind.
So, I think there's a difference, and so the younger generation has grown up and seen how he has denigrated the morals of this country, and created a more individualistic society, right? Like, we don't care as much about our neighbor, we're more focused on us, and we reject things that we don't understand, and that has become the fabric of American society. And you can see it in just the way that we interact with each other, and I think that's truly impacted how they've viewed America and how they voted.
Well, during that speech last night, he went on to, of course, praise himself and his migration deportation crackdown, which, as he said, is going great. Of course, poking at the Democrats who sat there, claiming that the Biden administration and these Democrats had fostered open border policies. How do you view the reality of the border situation? And what do you think are going to be the consequences of
I get it. There aren't too many people that know the difference between a clown and a mime. And yes, they come from the same school. But a clown and a mime are different. They are not the same. To call a mime a clown is wrong. To call a clown a mime is wrong. And they get pissy about it. Understandably. Because both are art forms. And both have particular sets of rules and things they have to do. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen the old adages of the clown versus mime war. That shit's not a joke. That actually happened. And many people watched because the shit was funny. to mix the two up, it is, well, the reason Art would come after your ass. For real. If you watch the Terrifier movies well enough, you notice anyone who calls Art a clown becomes his target. I mean, shit. Most of the movie's premise is based on the fact that people are calling him a clown when he's a mime. Which is just disrespectful. Straight up. Whether you realize it or not. When you mix the two of them up, you are disrespecting both. And the primary purpose, or the main reason why they do it, mimes or clowns, is because they want to see people laugh, be happy, and have a good time. Why would you insult those people? Why would you not take extra time to kind of have some respect for them? What, because they're funny? And? No, if you don't know the difference between a mime and a clown, you need to fucking look it up. Because, honestly, in the Terrifier movies even, Art doesn't get too much into it. He doesn't need to. But the abilities of a mime versus the abilities of a clown are completely and utterly different. Being stalked by Pennywise is different than being stalked by Art. And that's because they're not both clowns. Art won't ever make you laugh if he's stalking your ass. He's gonna make you uncomfortable as fuck. And scared. See, Art's a hunter type, as to where Pennywise is a trapper. As far as we want to get into this whole supernatural entertainers bit. These are two utterly separate creatures. And that's without being literal about that. Because that is a literal thing. They are literally separate creatures. They're different. Like that. Pennywise is alien. And Art is supposedly some kind of demon. I know they say Pennywise is supposed to be a demon, but everything about Pennywise does not speak demon. It speaks alien. Let's just be real. As to where Art definitely speaks demon. And maybe that's another good comparison. To call a mime a clown is to call a demon... What was the fuck I just found? God damn it. I forgot. Oh, alien. It'd be like calling a demon an alien. Or an alien a demon. Two separate things, two different places. They've got some visual similarities. Okay, that's gonna fucking happen. All of our stories of demons, there are visual similarities to humans. All of our stories of aliens, there are some visual similarities to humans. Some. There are a few aliens that don't have any kind of resemblance to humans. But most of the aliens that are come from the human mind have human resemblance, because that's what humans know. And let's just say we want to stick to the fact and basis of them both being demons. Okay. Art's from the Ninth Circle, if I remember correctly. And Pennywise is from which circle? The number of differences between the two of them is stark. You wouldn't call Pennywise a mime. Why would you call Art a clown? Just because that's what they say everybody in the movie knows him as, is the clown? I'm sorry. I don't remember a single spot in the movies where Art speaks. And if he does, it's not a lot. Which is mime territory, not clown. Clowns are supposed to be loud. They're supposed to be noticed. Mimes? Not so much. And that's why I say hunter versus trapper. If you want to say that Art eats his victims. Every thing from the movie says he wouldn't. He's a serial killer, not a actual human-eating demon. Supposedly he's demonic and from the Ninth Circle of Hell and a demon, but he don't do that it shit. Eating people. He does have some fun with blood play there. Art's a kinky one. Yeah, no, I will not agree to ever call it Art a clown. Because it's just wrong. Yeah, and that was the end of it. Oh, no, it wasn't.
His misleading statements on public trust.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, he's been in office for, 40 days, and then the right is going, he secured the border's closed. I mean, what? Not much has changed, other than that he sent additional troops or law enforcement down to the border to create kind of optics that we have a more secure border. But no, I mean, we had the highest level of encounters under Joe Biden, which means border control is doing their job. But it's all about optics. He says things that sound great and are true, or that he wants to be true, like the border is closed, and that's what people believe. So, I think we all want to see a secure border. I don't think we've ever had an open border like they've tried to make it seem. But again, that's just another phrase that they've used. And it's stuck, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's been 40 days. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, the border wall is still the same border wall, and it's just reframing of the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, he even went on yesterday. He was so bold to say that there's zero coming through the border since he's taken office.
Yeah,
that's not true. Not at all.
And what he did, and again on paper, it's so right. He's framing the immigration policies in terms of safety and national security. Something that we all want. Something that the President of the United States is obligated by his position to do, right? To make each of us safe and to provide and ensure national security. But do you think that, because he went on to say that they're now using Guantanamo Bay, they're using internment camps in Panama, do you think that his harsh stance is effective in deterring illegal immigration? Because he also made the claim that knowing how rough and tough that he is and how Tom Armin and the rest of ICE are going to be with these illegal migrants, that they are just not coming here, that they're going elsewhere.
Yes, but
Or, let me ask you this, do you think that it's effective in deterring this illegal immigration, or do you think that it just perpetuates a toxic narrative about migrants?
CDKeys.com. Shop the latest games and upcoming releases at the best prices. Enjoy incredible savings with up to
his
35%
freaking time thing really sucks with him.
Don't miss out. CDKeys.com. Pay less, game more.
I guess, but
With AI,
I guess,
if you can
but
think it, you can make it. But the same goes for cyber criminals. Now they can invade your online privacy 24/7.
shut up, Norton.
A toxic narrative about migrants.
I think probably both. I think he's created this other group that people should be afraid of. Again, this is what Republicans are good at, creating the other group, the transgender group, the illegal migrant group, or just migrant group, because he's essentially putting in illegal migration at the moment as well. So I think that, maybe it has deterred people from wanting to cross the border. I mean, personally, I wouldn't even want to come to this country right now.
Right.
I think a lot of people are looking at other places to go because it feels like we're being held hostage by our government in many ways. But I also think it's left people out to dry. People that are seeking asylum and have legitimate reasons for wanting to come to the U.S., or people that are here who are working on a green card or a visa and have families here or are married here, have children here. Now they're being separated from their families. It's created a really toxic culture around all of it. And people have lost, Republicans have lost morality along the way, and they're viewing this group of migrants as the cause for all of their problems, and that they're the reason why they can't get certain jobs. Well, guess what? Now you're losing your jobs because of the Trump administration, and prices are higher not because of illegal immigrants, but because of the Trump administration. So they've done a really good job at assuming this extremely toxic narrative and really toxic attitude towards migrants in general. And
Jackson,
mind you, we are all
Hey, Jackson.
descendants of migrants. Unless you're a Native American, your family came here at some point. And that's what America is all about. That's why we're so great, is because we encourage it's a melting pot. We encourage different ideas and people of different cultures and backgrounds, but that's not what Republicans want. Obviously, they want a monolithic group of white Americans and Christian Americans, and anything other than that is scary to them.
Yeah, but it's very, very true. I mean, then he went on to talk about his proposed tax and spending bill, which is aimed to overhaul the system with a focus on corporations and high-income earners. How likely do you think these changes to address the growing income inequality that we have in this country? And what do you think that the impact could be on social services?
Yeah, they've made it clear that they want to cut Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and they view people in those systems as leeches, or people who are receiving government handouts. Mind you, Elon Musk paid 0 federal taxes for Tesla last year, although making billions of dollars in revenue. So we're not the ones that are leeching. Elderly Americans are not the ones who are leeching. It is the billionaire class who's leeching, who are using tax loopholes to evade paying their fair share of taxes. And I just think it's sad
Jackson,
what they're trying to do.
Vienna sausage rolling on the floor.
And it's not fair. And
I am not
people have
reading
paid
that.
into these systems their entire lives, and if you pay taxes, you can't possibly be a leech of a system that is supposed to benefit you after paying your way into it your entire life.
It's so true.
Maybe I want to watch the video.
I thought possibly one of the more comical, because yesterday's speech was really nothing more than a reality show, right?
I got somebody on fucking Twitter saying Justice League is better than the Avengers, hands down, every time. I'm just like, I'm calling rage bait on this post.
YouTube, Hinson Jackson, Dublin, Loki.
Dublin drama, love. Loki's in the back. Laying down, he had his breakfast, went back in there after getting some water. And I'm just sitting here thinking after that comment up there, it's like, what makes you think that the Justice League is so much better than the Avengers? It's like, please enlighten me. Because, yeah, no, I got a little bit of an issue with DC's Pretty Boys. The only one in the Justice League worth a damn is freaking Batman. Otherwise...
YouTube, Hinson Jackson, Avengers Forever.
Yeah, it's like, otherwise, the next best person they have is Martian Manhunter. The two of them together are better than the rest of the fucking Justice League, period. Between Martian Manhunter and Batman, if they had all the time to do it, not a problem. But they just keep letting it happen. They keep letting it go. Batman and Martian Manhunter are typically pretty good about making sure they get their people fucking locked up and not good to go. Except for Joker, and that's because, well, Batman and Joker make each other. If it wasn't for Joker, there would be no Batman. If it wasn't for Batman, there would be no Joker. Pretty plain and simple. And then if you really want to go into it, at one point in time, Joker becomes the Bat. Look for the issue of the Batman comics called The Bat That Laughs. Loki, you're shaking a trailer. I think we're about to go news for today. Listen to the video. I'll listen to it, but I'm pretty sure I won't get anything from it.
Justice League has Superman, Cyborg. Wait. Is there any X-Men in the Avengers? Or Jean Grey in there because they can mess you up. Before from the original movies and then the Justice League. It's from the original movie. So you're talking basically the first Justice League. Yeah. To me, like, flats could probably somehow contain flat stock Aquaman, Subway. Wonder Woman probably go against Hulk by herself. Superman cancels out Thor, and then Cyborg's on another level over like Iron Man. And then Hawkeye, Black Widow is dead. Superman just kills him. Yeah.
Oh my god, you guys are idiots.
So then there, it's just a flat.
Y'all don't know your shit. Let me guess, you missed the mini crossover comics. Nope. Where did you forget that thing? Well, I don't care if we're on the same side in politics or not. If you're not willing to tell the difference between a clown and a mime, we're going to have a discussion. Whether you want to or not, unless you block my ass. Because no, I'm not going to let that shit stand. I get most people don't care the difference between a clown and a mime. But y'all need to fucking show some respect. They are both professional art forms that people have to go to college for. Yes, clown college is a real thing. It's not a joke. And yes, even in clown college, they make the distinction between Clown and mime. They do not do the same thing. They are not the same. These words are not interchangeable. I personally don't care what they say in the movie. I don't care if the only name he's known by is Art the Clown. That doesn't mean he's a clown. It just means that's all people know. I mean, part of the reason why I have such an issue with this really is the fact that Art chooses victims by that being one of the insults they say to him. Quite literally, every time I watch Terrifier, even the fucking first time, someone calls Art a clown, I go, you fucked up, you're dead. The reason why that rubs Art the wrong way? Because he's a fucking mime! Or can you all not sense the anger that comes from him? The character. I sure as hell can sense it. The actor does a wonderful job of putting that out there. Especially without talking! Art doesn't pull clown tricks. He does mime work. Art was supposed to make people scared of mimes. But, the creator obviously didn't realize the difference between a clown and a mime. Because even the creator calls him a clown. It's sad when you can't understand the psychology of your own character. What you've written about it. Though I'm not going to say that's the case. Though I do very much say that it should have been put in there that he's a mime. And there will be very many people who understand the difference. Especially where miming started over in France. Mimes are supposed to be like the Ferb, the Phineas and Ferb. They don't talk very much. A lot of the things they do are, well, things you might do on an average day. Actual physical actions, with nothing there. But if you try to test that there's nothing there, there's something there. This is the mime paradox, at least as I call it. Honestly, I think it has something to do with psychology, but I don't actually have that information. It wouldn't surprise me considering they go to college for this shit, including clowns. And that's part of the reason why I really don't care for people calling people clowns.
YouTube, Hinson Jackson. I'm feeling down today, brother. Depressed.
I'm sorry. If horror movies cheered you up, I'd say go watch Terrifier. Art's a demon, literally. It's like, I'm sorry. Mimes have a mute nature for a reason. They're supposed to stand out from clowns. Not look like the same damn thing. Not be the same damn thing, because they're not. And once again, comparing art to Pennywise is comparing an alien to a demon. For real. Or a hunter to a trapper. Art's a hunter. Pennywise is a trapper. To say that these two are the same thing is wrong. Both accuracy-wise and comparison-wise. Art's not out for nourishment like Pennywise is. Art's fucked up in the head. That's just it. Art's not just a demon, but a fucked up demon. And that's why clown doesn't quite fit. If you want a clown of the Ninth Ring of Hell, you're looking more like the Violator from Spawn. That's your Hellspawn clown. And he fits perfectly with Pennywise. They are peas in a pod. Art is not peas in a pod with those two. Not by a long shot. Now, if we were to have another horror mime or evil villain horror-esque, such as the Violator is, that would be a proper comparison. If you had the equal part mime Violator, like you do for Pennywise and the Violator, that rendition would be comparable to Art on a proper and logical level. As to where comparing either the Violator or Pennywise to Art is really a horrible comparison. You were quite literally better off comparing Art to a legitimate mime. An run-of-the-mill mime. And I don't mean that as an insult to anyone who mimes, because it's not an easy skill. I won't let something like that go. Because, I'm sorry, for real.
At the top of the walls carved the words, I weaken then for hours each day. I show you strange visions while you are away. I take you by night, by day take you back. Suffer to heaven. It's real. It's sex.
Yep.
Sleep, you horny losers. You can have multiple interpretations. All great literature covered with I weaken vows each day. I show you strange visions while you are away. I take you by night. By day take you back. Suffer to heaven.
Oh. Bunky Doodles is good artist, good shorts artist. All right, I need to end the stream for now. Get a brat dog out and run to the bathroom, and then I will be back. Till then, everybody, this is Old Mankind. And as always, even if you pray. These people pull their heads out of their butts. Come up prayer. If you don't, send the vibes out. I don't, but I'm definitely sending vibes. What are you doing, Bo? Lay down. Anyways.